and Fulton coming to you on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. The weekend is almost here. We've got plenty to discuss, including some Chiefs, some college football, the Big 12 poll. We'll discuss some Royals. Not much about yesterday's game because, well, yesterday's game is, well, yesterday's game. The Royals lost, and we'll very, very, quietly break that down. But an interesting discussion about a day that's very important for the Kansas City Royals. And that's coming up on Sunday. That is draft day. Kind of important. We will get to that. All sorts of Chiefs discussion, including just how good Isaiah Pacheco was last year. And maybe, just maybe, the Chiefs need to do something a little bit more frequently with Isaiah Pacheco. We will get to that coming up today. Lots to discuss here on this edition of Mic'd Up. Let us know your thoughts on the text line, 785-272-9429. Check us out on our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com and then search Sports on 580. Very simple, very easy. If you want to check us out, let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Check us out on our website, 580wibw.com. It's 580wibw.com. So much and so many ways that you can get a hold of us. Love to get your thoughts. We are going to give away some Royals tickets today. We need to do something to mix up the mojo because they apparently just wasted it all on the Dodgers series because since then, the Royals have not quite got it done. 4 in a row. Jordan Lyles didn't pitch that bad. 5 innings, 1 run.
No, he pitched good.
Kept him in it. Also had 5 Ks. I mean, if we're talking a strikeout per inning for old Jordan Lyles, and the bullpen outside of Amir Garrett was okay. Did the job. The defense did not help out Amir Garrett. You got to love it when you give up 4 runs and 2 of those puppies are unearned. So that's not enjoyable. Also, not great. 6 hits for the Kansas City Royals. Not what you want. Good news is, Nick Pratto looked good yesterday, I guess. That was kind of nice. He drew a walk. Bobby Witt got a hit. He stole a base. So that was kind of good. Anything else, that summed up, what do we sum up the Royals game yesterday in about a minute and a half there?
Give or take.
That about right? It's about it. Salvador Perez walked. That didn't normally happen, so that's kind of cool.
Salvador Perez finally hit a ball hard.
He did. Man, the Royals lost 6-1. So there you go.
Happened.
What's more important is something that I want to get to. And this is courtesy of one Sam McDowell, columnist for the Kansas City Star. And this is the reason why I think people really do wonder if it was a full reset for the Kansas City Royals. And it's some really good information coming from Sam McDowell, and it's about the draft, okay? It's about the Major League Baseball draft. He says here, there is no Jimmy Johnson chart, where you can figure out, draft capital and all that. So he says he replaced it with bonus pool allotment. All right, which is basically the quality and quantity of your draft picks, okay? If you've got, the first pick and the 5th pick in the first round, and you got, the first pick in the second round, you got a lot of high draft picks, right? You should be able to do something with that. Well, the Royals, I don't know if people know this, but they've drafted pretty high here recently. They rank 7th in allotted spending money since 2012. The introduction of the bonus pool. All right. But let's even go a little tighter. According to Sam McDowell, the Kansas City Star, a 3-year span from 2018 to 2020, the Royals totaled the most draft capital in baseball. There's 6 immediate predecessors who could say the same, who had 3-year reigns and totaling the most draft resources in baseball, made the playoffs within the next 3 years. All 6 of them. Except for who, Fulton?
The Royals.
The Royals! That's right. He says here, a collection of draft resources, then postseason baseball occurs. It's like clockwork, except for the Royals. Instead, he says here, the Royals are 3 years removed from that distinction. Rather than playoff appearances to show for it, they light up the worst winning percentage in franchise history and one of the worst teams in baseball history through this point, obviously. They've drafted high, but they have not drafted well. And to give you an example, they haven't drafted well, honestly, since Fulton. When did you graduate high school, Fulton?
2014, sir.
You would have been a sophomore in high school, Fulton, when they actually drafted well. You ready for this? From the 2012 to 2019 draft, the Royals selected 14 players between the first, compensatory, and competitive balance round picks, okay? Those 14 players have a combined 18.2 wins above replacement, okay? There are teams that are worse, correct, even in their own division. But when Sean Manaea is responsible for 11 of those 18, that means 13 players that you selected from 12 to 19 are responsible for just 7 wins above replacement. Now, drafting Sean Manaea was a great situation. You want to know why? Because Sean Manaea helped you land Ben Zobrist, which was a huge piece on winning the World Series. Let me ask you this. Do the Royals win the World Series if they don't have Ben Zobrist?
Nope.
You think that's a strong no?
That's a strong no.
That's a strong no.
Ben Zobrist gave a lot of value to that Royals team and shored up a big hole.
So, drafting Sean Manaea, you should get credit for that. You take out Sean Manaea, and that's 7 wins above replacement. Just to give you an idea of 7 wins above replacement, Lorenzo Cain in 1 year had 7 wins above replacement in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So they drafted 13 dudes from 2012 to 2019 and got essentially combined with all of those people 1 year of Lorenzo Cain.
They did. And real quick here, we got a text in from on the text line from the 75 hours. Can we define wins above replacement? Here it is in short. How much better are you more than a replacement level or average player? How much extra value are you providing to your team from just Joe Schmo off the field?
Just to give
the actual stats that is kind of fluctuate, but essentially replacement level is just the average dude you could call from AAA.
And just to give you an idea what that is, this is awful. This is atrocious. The fact that you drafted 13 dudes from 2012 to 2019 and they combined cumulative 7, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Like a player being replacement level is, if they're a low level pick, is never the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
First round picks, do you have a decent return on first round pick? This should be worth a win to 2 wins above replacement every year.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take. When you get to about a win to 2 wins above replacement, that gets to close to bordering all-star levels. 3 to 4 gets you more bona fide all-star. 5 to 6 and higher is when you start getting a conversation for top-tier superstars, MVPs. Like Mike Trout in his prime is like 8 to 9 wins above replacement every year. Like that's to kind of put this out. And so what this is basically saying here is Royals first-round picks are averaging less than a win above replacement in their career.
Which is
poor. Their career. Not just single season.
Yeah,
Some of the other single seasons they've played one season. And that's difficult. And looking, I pulled up who these picks are. These are the guys we're talking about. From 2013 or 2012?
2012.
Kyle Zimmer, Hunter Dozier, Sean Manaea, Brandon Finnegan, Foster Griffin, Chase Vallett, who never signed, Ash Russell, Nolan Watson. They didn't have a first-round pick in 2016. Nick Prado, Brady Singer, Jackson Carr, Daniel Lynch, Bobby Witt Jr. That is 12 to 19. Think about the names I just listed off there. How many of them have actually been useful to the Royals? What? 4?
And the big problem is,
and one of them that's useful to you is because you traded him.
The real big problem is from 2012 to 2016, to be frank, because right now, the Bobby Witt Jr.'s only been in the league 1 year, right?
Yeah, you can't make a call on Bob.
That's why I look at that and go, that's but Kyle Zimmer, Hunter Dozier, Brandon Finnegan, Foster Griffin, Chase Vallett, Ash Russell, Nolan Watson. Like, you got nothing. And that's what's funny about this is in this piece from Sam McDowell, he says here, the current results that the Royals have themselves, 5.7 wins above replacement from those 14 first rounders. Starting pitcher Brady Singer is at 5.9, which means Zimmer, Dozier, Finnegan, I don't include Manaea on this one.
He shouldn't.
Griffin, Vallett, Russell, Watson, Prado, Carr, Lynch, Bubic, and Bobby Witt Jr. have actually combined negative wins to the Royals. That's how bad Zimmer, Dozier, Finnegan, Griffin, Vallett, Russell, Watson, Prado, Carr, Lynch, Bubic, and Bobby Witt Jr. have combined. Mainly it's because of Zimmer, Dozier, Finnegan, Griffin, Vallett, Russell, Watson. Jackson Carr has done nothing for you.
Yeah, Jackson Carr is probably worth negative wins by replacement in his major league
career. And the
career.
reason why I bring this together, okay, this is the reason I bring it together. The scouting director, every part of the Royals front office is the same, except for the guy in charge. This is where we questioned keeping everything together, keeping every single person there in Kansas City in the draft aspect. We asked Jay Jaffe last week, what's more important, evaluation or development? And he said evaluation. You got to pick the right guys. And I don't know if the Royals are doing that. And that's
I don't need to say an if to that. I have a for certain they haven't.
And that's why a lot of at least baseball people, myself included, go, is this truly a rebuild, a restructure? Because if the same people are scouting and drafting these guys, then how is it going to be any different under JJ?
And here's what I'll say. And I've been on the fence about this myself, and I've been very open about that. I'm curious to see what this draft does. And I'm going to be probably more tuned into a draft than I ever have been when it happens on Sunday. Because from what people have said, and, anonymous sources are what they are and rumblings are what they are, is that for the Royals under Dayton Moore, it was Dayton's pick. No one else got to have an opinion. They got to bring him all the data they wanted. Dayton made the call. That anyone could have suggested anyone else. If Dayton didn't want to take him, they weren't taking him. There was no, we're voting here. It was just a Dayton gets say, and whatever Dayton wants is what the Royals are taking. So there is a universe to where with JJ in charge, even with the same people, that they could have potentially overhauled how they do things, and they will make some different moves going forward. We are not going to know the answer to that until we get through Sunday. Honestly, a little bit past that, when we see what those guys look like in systems and what have you. But this, to me, is the true test to, did they make the right call with not cleaning house? Because they have made proper changes to pitching development. They've made proper changes to day-to-day operations. Their willingness to move on from veteran contracts. Their willingness to change up what things are happening. Their willingness to, much quicker than ever before, to say, we tried a thing, that thing didn't work, let's try something new. The final hurdle is, can you draft effectively? And we get our first taste of that answer coming up on Sunday. Because I don't know what that answer is going to be. Because we are learning that it was not a lie to say Dayton Moore basically ran this thing with a semi-iron fist. And that a lot of decisions were just Dayton made a call, and that's what we did.
Because you've got J.J. Piccolo, part of the scouting department.
Yep.
Lonnie Goldberg, part of the scouting
Yep.
department. They're the ones scouting these guys.
Yeah.
And this is the result.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why. And this is also some of the reasons why, you know what, the interim coach doesn't work. We've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
The interim coach doesn't work. Now, sometimes it does work, but a lot of the times it doesn't.
No, a lot of times you need the fresher look.
So did Dayton Moore get the right evaluation? Is Dayton Moore, who under the press, because I'm with you, the only way, to me, you keep JJ Piccolo and everybody underneath him is if John Sherman was able to go with your theory, which we always like to try to find a theory, right? Why did they do this? Is there at least one reason? And they weighted that reason so heavily. Maybe that's what John Sherman did, was like, look, Dayton Moore did everything. It was, he was judge, jury, executioner. And so
we just need to see what this looks like with him out of the room.
But that is a very, very bold move to do when you're trying to clean house, when you're trying to redo everything from what hasn't worked for 6 years, since 2017. So that's the reason why I still think there is some speculation that, you got everybody still doing the same job. They haven't changed. Have they?
Want to see?
We'll find out. But that's bad drafting.
No, and it has been. It has been some swings and some misses.
And it just small market teams in baseball are like NFL teams. You have to hit in the draft. The Royals did with everyone that they had when they ended up winning in 13, 14,
that run
15.
For 4 consecutive drafts, your first round picks were Alex Gordon, Luke Hochevar, Mike Moustakas, and Eric Hosmer. Like, Hochevar, when he became a reliever, was a hit.
It was good.
That was 4 straight hits.
Yeah. So, and then who was after Hosmer?
After Hos was Mike Montgomery. Oh, here or there.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Crow, who in his brief career was very good.
That is Royals All-Star Aaron Crow.
That is.
Peak of product.
And then Christian Colon, which that draft was interesting.
Christian Colon had he's a part of the 2 most important plays of.
He is. He is.
He drove in the winning run in the World Series, man.
Man, the guys you could have taken instead of Christian Colon, though, are just, oh, man. There's some dudes
part of
here.
He's like, look, I'm all right with it because he scored here comes Colon. And then he just ropes one into center field.
And then part of me wants Chris Sale or Christian Yelich on my baseball team.
Coming up next, man, you want to talk about it's going to be insane tonight and tomorrow. We'll explain next. steer clear of Arrowhead Stadium tonight and tomorrow as the Swifties are taking over. I got an email from the Chiefs. You know it's wild when you get an email from the football team that's hosting this Eras tour of Taylor Swift, and it is 3 pages long on just information because there's going to be so many people here and they're just nuts. Like, there's parties outside of the stadium. Like, that's what's crazy about this. It's going to be back-to-back days of the Swifties taking over Kansas City.
Good for them.
That's incredible.
Good for them.
It really, really is.
I hope they have a good time.
But they talk about traffic and parking and just everything. They don't even have to do this for a football game, but they are because of good old Taylor Swift. My wife's like, can we go?
No.
You find free tickets, you can go.
Yeah, if she wants to pay for the tickets, sure.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not how that works because
Okay, fair.
We're shared,
Fair enough, brother.
We do the shared bank account.
Fair
thing.
enough, brother.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know. Coming up next, Paul Carr joins us to talk a little soccer. we will get to the Big 12 preseason poll and who we think is going to, and the reasons why they will outperform, or you know what, they're going to struggle compared to their rankings. We also compare just how good K-State does against the rankings and just how bad Texas does against the rankings. So a lot to get to. We'll talk plenty of Chiefs as well. Got on second thought, plenty to discuss here on this Friday edition of Mic'd Up. Jake and Fulton caster with you, and we are joined in studio right now, former 580 staffer. He is now bigwig with TruMedia Sports. He is actually in charge of all the game notes for the Women's World Cup coming up here in 2 weeks. Have you got all the game notes done, Paul Carr?
We have most of the pieces done. You know,
Nice.
You can do things in advance like the schedule and World Cup scoring leaders and coach bios and all these things that we paste in. You can never totally get done. Like the rosters aren't official until a couple days from now. So, but we've got about as many pieces as possible finished right now, and then it's always a crunch the last week before it starts.
Well, we will get to a little Women's World Cup. We are going to get to some other soccer news, maybe a little sporting Kansas City. But the biggest news, and I should have had you on before then, but the greatest soccer player to ever play is going to be playing in the United States. And I am so bummed that Inter Miami is not coming to Kansas City. It is in September when Kansas City Sporting KC goes to Inter Miami. How big a deal is this that Messi's coming to the United States, even at the age of 35?
I mean, this is a non on the field way of answering. Inter Miami's social media following, I forget if this was Instagram or if it added up a couple of different platforms, went from like 1 million to 7 million in 24 hours after they announced the signing. So from a global standpoint, that just gives you some perspective on how much it's going to raise the profile of the league and the team.
Do you think he will generate people going to the MLS?
You mean other players coming in? I would think so. I mean, there's a couple guys that are already, I don't know if it's official, but are probably going to go to Miami to join him. There's some rumor that Neymar, New York City FC wanted to sign Neymar. I don't know how close that. I doubt that's close to happening. But, I do think if Messi does this, it's okay for me to do it too sort of mindset. You might not get the money you're going to get from Saudi Arabia or something, but your lifestyle is going to be very different and possibly better depending on what your preferences are. So yeah, I think it just kind of, just like Beckham came here in 2007, kind of opened that door, and you saw your Lampards and Gerrards and these other guys trickle in after that. I think it'll be the same sort of thing. Not there's going to be a rush, but it's going to just become a more viable option for some of those late career guys.
He's still really good. He won the
World Cup last year.
He was the best player in the World Cup. So he's now coming to the United States in the MLS. I feel like this is going to be, like LeBron playing against high schoolers. Like, is he going to embarrass everyone in the MLS?
I don't know. This is the big question because, it's kind of that age-old question. If you took, Michael Jordan, you and me, how good are we going to be?
Yeah.
This isn't quite that. These are professional soccer players. But yeah, you're taking a guy, and he's not the best player in the world today. He's probably not, we could argue, but is he in the top 10, 20? Probably not, just because he's past his prime, but he's still obviously capable of greatness. Can he do it with outside his country? It's different when you're playing with your national team. There's the guys he played with for a while.
Well, his national team is better than Inter Miami.
Correct. Yeah. They had one of the 2 or 3 most talented teams probably at the tournament anyway.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. He's going to make them better. That's no doubt. It's harder to make a soccer team better than, a basketball team better just because you don't have the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Messi is as good as he is. He is not I have to have the ball all the time type of guy. He's more of a pick and choose his moments. He's not sprinting the whole game, especially now. He never was, but especially now at 35. He'll pick and choose when to turn on the gas and things like that. So it's going to be, I just think it's a super fascinating kind of on the field experiment is what happens when you take this guy and probably 1 or 2 of his buddies who are really
couple
good
guys
as well.
from Barcelona.
Sergio Busquets, looks like Jordi Alba. So you got kind of a defensive midfielder and an outside back. You put those guys on an MLS team, kind of an average MLS team, if that, and see what they can do. I don't know. It's gonna be a fascinating experiment.
I would like are ticket sales going through the roof on the
Yeah,
road?
I mean, I don't remember the numbers, but yeah, the prices on StubHub or whatever were like 10 times, and that was before anything was even confirmed about when he's going to start playing. I imagine they'll mess with the schedule in future years to make sure Miami goes to every MLS team in those next couple years. You can't visit all of them every year just from a volume standpoint, but I would guess over the 24 and 25 seasons.
Do they have to play in different stadiums because he's going to generate that much?
Miami's talked
we
about
talked
it.
about that, right?
Yeah, Miami has talked about moving. I don't think they've announced anything, but they've talked about playing some games at Hard Rock where the Dolphins play.
Yeah.
I mean, that would probably be the best idea because like everyone's going to want to go to those games to watch him play.
Yep.
Like it would be crazy, but they could sell at Hard Rock in a way the Dolphins can't sell at Hard Rock.
Yeah, I was at Hard Rock for a Barcelona Real Madrid game in 2017, just a summer exhibition. It was nuts. I mean, just insane.
And particularly that community in that section of the world,
there's so
that
much
connection.
South American population down there from all the countries that it'd be massive. And they could do the same thing here. If Inter came to Kansas City,
I'd go. I would go just to watch
Messi. I would guess they could at least double Sporting Park's capacity and sell 40,000 tickets
easy,
at least.
Easy.
Maybe more, maybe a lot more. Maybe I'm underestimating it, but I would imagine all the teams have to start thinking about that for next year at least.
Yeah, that's incredible. We're talking with Paul Carr, for former 580 staffer. He used to work here, and then he went to he became big time, and now he's the director of content at TruMedia Sports. And let's get to the Women's World Cup. Okay, it starts in 2 weeks down in Australia. USA is always one of the top 2 teams to win it. They've won back-to-back World Cups. No one's ever won 3 in a row. They still got a lot of the same people back. Julie Ertz.
Alex Morgan's here. Rapinoe's not a starter, but she's on the team.
She'll play if she needs to because she can do the free kicks and all that. Rose Lavelle, my girl, I love her. She's terrific.
She's got some attitude.
Is the Mewis girl, Sam Mewis?
This is her sister actually.
Okay.
Christy Mewis is on the team. Lindsay Horan in the midfield.
Okay.
You might know Kelly O'Hara is outside back.
Yep.
Same keeper probably. Alyssa Nair. They might rotate that.
So. Are they gonna?
They're gonna win again.
Should they win it?
It's the old thing. They're favored. They're the favorite in all the betting markets and whatever, any projections you look at. They're not massive favorites. It's like plus 250. So, that means they're going to win 1 out of 3-ish, 30% of the time or so, which is about right. There's about half a dozen teams that are kind of in that top tier. England won Euros last year. Germany was runner-up at Euros. Spain, France, host Australia. Those are kind of your top 6 or so that we expect. The weird thing is like every one of those teams has major questions, mostly because of injury. The U.S. has 2-3 players that probably would have started that are hurt. England's got probably 4. Germany's got several. Spain has some missing. France has.
So that's good for the USA.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because everyone's missing. Everyone's got big question marks.
Does the USA? What's their big question mark?
So Mallory Swanson, formerly Mallory Pugh, got hurt earlier this year. She's been the top scorer the last year and a half. She would have started. So you got to figure out who's going to play there.
Oh, that stinks.
Becky Sauerbrunn, name you probably remember, she's out. She may not have. She was a top 3 center back. She might not have started every game, but she would have started 2-3 games. And her veteran presence would have been her 4th World Cup. So she's out. So the back line, they have a couple center backs named Naomi Girma and Alana Cook. Girma, I think, is phenomenal, and Cook is really good, but a little mistake prone. But they're just unproven. They both have, I think, under 20 caps for the U.S. and have never been to a World Cup. So there's things like that. Like, these players are good enough. They just haven't been here.
Okay.
So every team's got questions like that. All the top teams do.
They should cruise through the group.
You got Vietnam.
Will they beat Vietnam the way that they beat? Who was the team for?
Thailand.
Thailand, yes. I couldn't remember, but what was it? Like
13? 14? 13, I think.
I think it was 13-0.
Yes, 13
and people
or 14.
were like, they were mean, and they're running up the score.
I mean, it was just funny.
I was looking at the line for that game today. U.S. by 5.5 is the line.
Oh, goodness.
And 5.5 was favored. So it's that kind of game.
Wow.
Yeah. The rest, they have Netherlands in the second group. That's who they beat in the final 4 years ago. Netherlands is not as good right now, but that'll be the decisive game as far as the group goes. Then Portugal, who's okay, but shouldn't be much of a problem. So yeah, the group shouldn't be a problem for any of the top teams really here.
Well, that's a positive development. I always like the Women's World Cup. I think it's fun coming up here in 2 weeks. I like the Men's World Cup. I can't express how excited I am for 2026 for the Men's World Cup coming. I will go to one game. I don't care. I don't care if I have to go solo. Like the tickets are that expensive. My wife already knows about it. I told her 3 years in advance.
She's on babysitting duty that day.
Well, we just call that being a mom.
Well, yeah, being a parent.
Yeah, we call that mom. I always hate it when, other parents, and Paul, you're a parent here. When they're like, my husband's babysitting. No, he's being a dad.
Right.
No, he's being a father.
Yeah.
My wife preemptively told me never to say that I'm on babysitting duty.
Yeah.
Because
I hate that. No,
So,
I'm dad.
yes.
I'm dad. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm excited for the Men's World Cup. I'm excited for the women's. It's in Australia. At least 2 games are at 8:00, one at 2:00. But I'm excited for that. So let's talk a little Gold Cup. I have been watching the B team of Team USA in the Gold Cup. They got out of the group fairly easily. It helps when you don't really play anybody any good. But they tied Jamaica.
Do what you got to do.
You need to do that. This is the B team.
Yep.
There isn't the McKinneys and the Tyler Adams and the Pulisic's. How have they looked? Is this promising, or
looked okay?
We don't care until we actually face somebody of note.
Yeah, a little bit of that. They looked okay. I mean, the game against Jamaica was the first one, and they really looked like they just hadn't played together much, which they hadn't. So that was, they didn't look great there, but they got a draw, which is fine. Yeah, you've got 2, maybe 3 guys on this team who would probably make, maybe a couple more who would make the 23 if we had a World Cup tomorrow. So yeah, they just looked okay. They haven't looked bad.
These are the guys who are going to play in 26, though.
A few of them. Matt Turner's probably your goalkeeper. Then Miles Robinson's a center back. He might start for the A team if he were healthy. Yeah. He's been battling injuries, coming back from injury. He would have made the World Cup team had he been healthy last year. So you got a couple guys. They've done what they had to do really so far. This will be, now that we're in the knockout stage, and they get Canada right out of the gate, which probably the 3rd best team in the region right now. This is not Canada's A team either, but it's probably like B+. They're missing most of their European guys, which is all their attackers for the most part. So this is a game the U.S. still ought to win, but it'll be a different sort of test than they had in Nations League when they played a couple weeks ago.
Are we seeing the future goal scorer?
And Jesus Ferreira with back-to-back hat tricks.
Well, him and who's the other young cat?
Brandon Vasquez or Cade Cowell.
The young guy, or the starts with a B maybe.
Fuller and Balogun?
Yeah, that guy.
Yes.
That guy.
He's not on this team.
I know, but is like, do we finally have a guy who can score?
And Balogun has the potential to be, the best pure forward the U.S. has had in decades.
Yes, since Dempsey.
And Dempsey's not even really a true forward. Altidore was really the last reliable type, but Balogun is set. He's done more in Europe, scored 20-plus goals in France last year, which is like the 5th best league in Europe, which no one in the U.S. shirt has ever done before. So he's got the potential. But he's still just 21. He's still got to find a club to play with this year because he's at Arsenal, but they've loaned him out, and he's got to figure that out. But yeah, he's got the potential to be that missing goal scorer the U.S. has been looking for a while.
I'm hoping that's the case. Should they win the Gold Cup? They beat Canada, and then who are they playing?
I forget who the next round is. They wouldn't get Mexico till the final if it comes to that, or Jamaica in the final. Mexico is better than the U.S. They have closer to their A team.
Yeah.
And
rumor has it that they need a good showing here.
Yeah, if they don't reach the final, it's a disappointment. If you get to the final and lose to Mexico, assuming you're not getting shellacked, that's not too bad. Obviously, you want to win. But yeah, if they don't get to the final, that'll be a disappointing tournament.
Okay. Talking with Paul Carr here on Mic'd Up. All right, Paul. Sporting Kansas City. Rough start. Real rough. To the point where it's like, Sporting Kansas City was like the Royals. Like,
it was bad.
Just so bad that a lot of people stopped paying attention.
Yeah, I was at a lot of those early games, and you could see attendance just kind of.
Yeah. So have they figured it out? They're no longer. They won a game, which is a positive.
They're doing well.
They're like, if you it's kind of I liken it to a golf tournament. They double bogeyed the first 3 holes,
right?
So they're 6 over after 3. Now you just got to keep chipping away, and the good news is they're chipping away.
Right, pars and a birdie here
and there, and they're making their way back.
Yeah, so since May, I think they're 5th in the league in points, or top 5 in points, which might be running a little bit hot, but health is the biggest thing. Alan Polito's back and playing and healthy. Johnny Kinda is back and playing and healthy. Like those are 2 of your designated players. You take the generally the top 2 players off any team, they're going to struggle a lot. So that's part of it. They've had to sort out the defense, try to figure out, who's should be back there. Injuries, just kind of battle. Johnny Russell's been battling injuries, seems to be more or less back. So the easy story is, they're just healthy and playing together. And, now they look like not the best team in the West, but they look like a solid playoff team right now.
But they couldn't. They still got a lot of work to do, but there's still a lot of games.
Right. I mean, I think they're a game out of the playoffs right now. So
explain to me what's going on here in MLS now. Is this another midseason tournament? But it's not just the MLS teams. Right. This is the cross finally
Mexico
with La Liga.
Liga MX.
Liga MX. Yeah. La Liga's one in Spain. So Liga MX, the Monterrey,
Chivas, Monterrey, Cruz Azul.
Yeah, those Tigres and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So this is cool. I like this. I'm actually kind of excited for this, even though MLS might get smashed in most of these matches.
Yeah, I'm both looking forward to it because it's fun to see, play
and
other teams.
They're pausing the MLS season, right?
Right. That's the weird part about it. Is it's a midseason. They call it kind of a club version of a World Cup. It's kind of there's 3 teams in a group. So Sporting plays Cincinnati and Chivas. And then you only have to get top 2 in the group to advance.
Not great.
The one advantage MLS has is the Liga MX season hasn't started yet. Like this is their preseason essentially.
Oh.
So you hope maybe they're not fully fit, things like that.
Okay.
You never really know. So yeah, it's kind of a fun thing. It's weird to throw it in the middle of your season and just trying to keep track of you already have Open Cup, sometimes you have Champions League, you're trying to keep track of, and now here's a brand new thing. But it should get eyeballs, especially from Mexico or Liga MX fans. It should I'm going to go to the Chivas game just because it's somebody different, it's something different, it's a different kind of thing. That'll be fun. So yeah, it's a big experiment. I think they're planning to do it another year or 2 after this, but everything always just depends how it goes.
Speaking of the MLS, it's huge now. I mean, they've added so many teams.
Yeah.
Is it watered down now?
I mean, to me, it's kind of hard to keep track of in a lot of ways. Like as a fan, I go to a pretty good number of sporting games, but trying to track almost 30 other teams is a little challenging. You look at England, almost any European league, they have about 20 teams, 18, 20, something like that. So you got 10 games on a week. Here we got 14, 15 games in your average weekend. So that's tough. It's growing.
The wife and I watched Ted Lasso. All right. She is now, because I'm having to tell her what relegation is and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And she is on board with relegation and everything now. It'll never happen, right?
The only way it could happen in MLS is if they split MLS in 2, essentially. So you have like MLS 1 and MLS 2.
Okay. Which they could because they've got 32 teams right
you really could. Actually, you could just do 2 15-team leagues.
That's, I think if they wanted to get to 40, you got 2 20-team leagues.
Yeah, that'd work.
I mean, the problem is you're going to have to sell these owners on this because these owners are paying hundreds of $1 millions, especially the new ones, in expansion fees.
Yep.
And part of the reason they're willing to pay that is because there is no relegation, so there's no danger of dropping down and losing all that revenue.
Yeah, I know. That's where the history over there in England, like I was watching Everton versus Aston Villa, maybe.
Whoever it was, yeah.
And I'm just, it was relegation is
the best.
That is the, you want to tell everybody talk about how do we get rid of tanking? How do we get rid of tanking?
You make it possible to where if you lose, then you're bad enough. You're about to cost yourself a lot of money.
I don't think it'll ever happen, but
no.
I would.
I say there's a non-zero chance it happens in MLS at some point. I mean, this might be a decade or 2 from now.
Yep.
But that's the only way I can see it. But yeah, you have to convince a lot of owners. You probably have to slice up the money differently. So even if you're in that second division, you're getting a cut of whatever the Apple money that comes in for TV or something like that.
Has that been a good move?
I mean, personally, my problem is I go to a sporting game. I pretty much can't watch any other games that day. Because they're all roughly the same time. Some start while I'm on the way, some are on the way, whatever. I think it is going to pay dividends with this Messi move because they're in 100 and some odd countries. So you live in, I think, Argentina. You can get Apple TV and watch every game.
Yep.
And that's obviously good for both the league and Apple.
Yep.
You live in Germany. You can
get
Apple TV and watch every game.
That's
why he's getting a cut. Yeah. So globally, it's definitely a good thing. In the U.S., I think kind of mixed. Part of just trying to figure out, like, is this just because it's new, we don't like it, or is it genuinely, hurting the ability to catch other games? I feel like they could do something a little bit differently, whether it's always have a Sunday game,
Not being on broadcast to me hurts.
Yeah.
But then again, you're not trying to get the 55-year-old and older. You're not trying to get that fan. Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry, older people.
Yeah,
that's
the other challenge is you're kind of sacrificing the casual fan a little bit.
Diehard.
And how that works in the long run, I don't think anybody really knows.
All right, last two for the road. Very simple. Are you a fan of Ted Lasso? Did you like the show? You haven't seen it then, obviously.
I have not seen the show.
You have not seen it?
No, I haven't watched Ted Lasso, and I haven't watched any Welcome to Wrexham.
Oh,
I don't know.
I've watched Ted Lasso. I liked it a lot. I had to explain a lot of verbiage to my wife because she is not a English soccer fan.
Yeah, my wife watched it.
Did she like it?
She did.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I really did.
Yeah, same thing. She would come to me was like, "Wait, does this mean this?"
Yeah. Just the different verbs, that she loved it. She thought it was great.
Good.
If you could change one rule in soccer right now, what is it?
If you draw a penalty, you have to take the penalty kick. None of this. Some center back gets fouled in the box and Messi gets to take the penalty. If you are fouled, you have to take the penalty.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Basketball, you're fouled.
Okay. No, I'm good with that.
If you're fouled, Draymond Green is fouled. Steph Curry doesn't get to shoot the free throws. You have to shoot them yourself.
If some random center back is fouled,
right?
Guess what? You're taking the penalty, whether you're good at it or not.
Right. You want to take a dive or exaggerate something to get the penalty? Okay, that's fine.
You better step up
and
hit it.
You got to take the penalty.
Yeah. I like it.
I like that.
Paul, thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with us.
You bet. Always fun.
Paul Carr from TruMedia Sports. He's the smartest guy I know. Coming up next, we'll get to a little Big 12 football. What's up with Jake and Fulton coming to you on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. We got plenty more to get to. We will talk a little Big 12 here in just a little bit. Today is National Chocolate Day. That's right. National Chocolate Day. So we are going to go with our list of your favorite forms of chocolate. There's a lot of different ways you can, indulge in the chocolate. We will get to that coming up today. In fact, just found out something new involving chocolate. Brit Z on 106.9.
Yep.
Formerly here on 580 WIBW. He enlightened us, and I don't know if you'd ever heard of it, of a chocolate payday bar.
I had not known about that till Britt told me about it.
You, myself, and Brendan have never known or even knew or heard about a chocolate payday bar.
It's good.
It's a Baby Ruth.
It's delicious.
I love a Baby Ruth, so don't get me wrong.
I don't know if I've ever had a Baby Ruth, so I can't immediately tell you if they're,
Good
I think they're the
news
same
for
thing.
you, Fulton.
But since apparently a payday is a Baby Ruth, I've had a Baby Ruth.
So I had the payday, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Tastes just like a Baby Ruth. And then Britt got furious with me and said, no, Baby Ruths are trash. This is way better. And so I was at the store this morning, and I purchased both of them. So, Fulton, you can try. I will cut it up into like fours, and we're all going to do the Baby Ruth versus chocolate payday blind taste test.
Okay.
Maybe we should do that on air with Dan and Fulton, or Dan and Brendan. Maybe we should do that.
We could.
And then Britt.
Possible.
I hope I'm going to try to do like two of them with Britt, see if I can't switch them up and see if I can't
give
get
Britt
him,
the old switcheroo.
because he thinks he's going to get it easily.
You know what you do is you separate them. You tell Britt to close his eyes and he has to do them legitimately, not look at them.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you're going to do too.
Yeah.
See if you can tell the difference.
Yeah. I probably can't because I've never had a Baby Ruth. But I have the chocolate payday, so maybe that's why I'll be able to tell the differences. I'll be like, one of those is like, that ain't a chocolate payday.
So
it's got to be a Baby Ruth.
We will go with that. So a lot to get to. We'll talk a little college realignment news coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get to some Chiefs discussion in the 2:00 hour. So a lot to get to. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on the text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. So a lot to get to on this edition of Mic'd Up. But the Big 12 preseason poll came out, and we know the rankings and everything. And I thought this was kind of interesting when it comes to what teams who overachieve, underachieve when it comes to where they're picked and where they finish. And this is why I cannot put Texas number one. They have underachieved ever since the league went to non-divisions. They've only technically overachieved twice. That's it. Twice. Last year was one of those years. They were preseason picked 4th, finished 3rd. But the year before that, preseason picked 3rd. They finished 7th, -4. 2020, preseason picked 3rd, finished 4th, -1. 2019, preseason picked 2nd, finished 3rd. 2018, preseason picked 4th. This is the best they've done. They overachieved by two spots. Then they were -2 in 16, 15, and 14. Even picked 4th, finished 4th, 3rd, picked 3rd in 2013 and 2012. That this is who they are. Eventually, This is who they are. On average, they finish a spot below every single year. A spot below. Their average preseason pick just under 4th. And they finish 4th. That's just how they operate. And so that's the reason why I just can't quite get fully on board with the Longhorns. Now, what about the K-State Wildcats? They're preseason pick 2nd. I can't stress this enough how big of a deal that is. This is the highest they've ever been picked since they've gone to one division. Okay. Round robin format and everything. Okay. Now this year, not the round robin format. We'll have to wait and see. But they normally get picked 6th. But they finish almost 2 spots better on average every single year. In fact, since 2011, they have only finished below what they were preseason picked 3 times. They are the anti-Texas.
Yeah, Texas, the constant underachievers. K-State, the constant overachievers.
Last year, they were preseason picked 5th. They won it.
Yep.
2021, they were preseason picked 7th. They finished 5th. 2020, and if you want to cancel out 20, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the COVID year was weird.
Yeah. 2019, they were preseason picked 9th. They finished 5th. 2018 and 17, they were preseason picked 3rd and 6th, finished 6th and 8th. That shouldn't be a surprise. The reason why, that was the tail end of the Snyder era.
Yeah.
We know that didn't
kind of went bad.
Didn't end well.
No.
But 2011, preseason picked 8th, finished 2nd. 2012, preseason picked 6th, finished 1st. 2013, preseason picked 6th, finished 5th. Like this is what they do, even under Chris Kleiman. +2 and +4. No, technically +4 even COVID. +2 and +4. That is what they do. So in this situation with the preseason poll, give me we're just going to go with the top 10 real quick.
Yep.
And you give me the reason why they're going to overachieve and the reason why they're going to underachieve. And you can do that, I think, for every single team.
I really think you can.
And you start with Texas, okay? The reason that they are going to overachieve
or do what they're supposed to do, which is win the league,
it's because they have more talent than everybody.
Yeah. If Texas's talent plays to its level, they will win the league.
Yes.
The reason they could underachieve.
Okay, what is it?
It's simple. That talent doesn't play as it's supposed to, like they do every year.
So
if Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning isn't the guy they're supposed to be, they will underachieve. That's the number one thing. Quinn Ewers ain't the guy, and Arch Manning ain't the guy year one, they will not win this league. Simple as that.
K-State, the reason why they will go back-to-back winning the league is very, very simple. Will Howard is the guy that played all 7 games last year, and they have guys to step up to fill 3 spots. They just need really, if Will Howard, 4 spots. If Will Howard plays the way he does, if Giddens and Ward can fill the shoes of Deuce Vaughn, if somebody can sack the quarterback like Enyudike Uzama, and they got somebody to play corner. That's if they get those 4, then K-State will win this league.
To me, for K-State, it's very simple, and it's very similar to Texas. For K-State, it's all Will Howard. If Will Howard is Will Howard of last year, they got a real chance to win this league. But if we get the Will Howard we saw all the years before that, they ain't going to do anything. I think every other piece can kind of be what they are and it'll be fine. It's all on Will Howard.
To me, the number one reason why Kansas State won't finish second or finish third, finish, fourth or below, is that Will Howard can't find anybody to throw to.
That's fair.
Because the wide receivers can't get open. Can they get open on press man? Can Colin Klein scheme them open if that's not the case? I think if the wide receivers can play and get open and catch passes and become playmakers, I see Kansas State fitting in right at 2, 3, 1, 2, or 3. That's what I got. Oklahoma, to me, it's simple. Oklahoma can win this league if their defense is better. Period.
I'm lockstep with you on that. Oklahoma's defense. If Oklahoma's defense improves, they can win the league.
Yep.
If Oklahoma's defense is what it was last year, say hello to 6 and 7 and back-to-back seasons.
Yep.
Simple as that for Oklahoma.
And it's the other aspect of it. I wonder if they got any dudes at wide receiver. I mean, you lost Marvin Mims. They don't have the stud guy anymore. They just don't. So that's why I think a big reason why Oklahoma won't finish fourth is because I don't know if they got any dudes to throw to.
That's fair.
Texas Tech.
For me, when it comes to Tech, it's just, can they take the step forward? And it's weird to word it, but all the pieces, if Joey McGuire gets the train rolling still on its pace, they can be here, finish a little higher. If Texas Tech just as a unit takes that drop step back, if they can't meet actual expectations, it's weird to put it that way, but that's just kind of where it's at for Texas Tech. Because I don't think there's any one thing that sets them back. I think what would set them back is just they underachieve. And in just the simplest sense, they can't keep momentum going. And they step back.
I think Texas Tech is simply, they got to have consistent QB play. When was the last time that Texas Tech had consistent QB
play? They
play?
played like 80 quarterbacks last year because no one kept playing well. And those guys that kept playing when they even got back being healthy, never played consistently.
I mean,
consistent quarterback play is important.
It's almost, they haven't had consistent quarterback play since Mahomes.
They haven't. No, since Patrick Mahomes, they've not had consistent quarterback play.
And so that's why
it's been up and down.
Yeah.
Game to game.
TCU, really simple. You lost a lot of studs. TCU is similar to Kansas State. They lost studs.
Yeah.
You lost Quentin Johnston. You lost Kendra Miller. You lost Max Duggan. You lost a lot of absolute Joes and dudes. Can you fill that spot?
Some of these questions are very similar for TCU. It's a few different spots, but mainly, can Chandler Morris do it? If Chandler Morris can be a shell of Max Duggan, I think they could be a real good team again this year. But there's a reason Chandler Morris has barely played at all, and even when he got hurt, lost the job to Max Duggan. There's reasons for that. So I just don't know. Quarterback play makes the world go around, and I don't know if TCU's got it.
I think Oklahoma State can finish in the top 5 if Alan Bowman stays healthy.
Yeah, for me and the Cowboys, it's all Alan Bowman and quarterback play because I think that could do enough to keep them high enough. Also, because we skipped Baylor. Because Baylor's 6th, Oklahoma State 7th.
Well, Baylor's Baylor.
I know. Baylor and Oklahoma State to me are the exact same thing. It's can their quarterbacks play? For Baylor, if Blake Shapen can be a standout quarterback, I think they could climb up a little bit or at least stay at 6th. For Oklahoma State, if Alan Bowman can be good Alan Bowman, they could be 7th at least, if not higher. But if he can't play quarterback well, especially if he can't stay healthy, good luck being 7th.
UCF, for me, it's how do they handle the schedule?
Yeah.
This is the first time that you're in a Power 5 league.
UCF is entirely how do you handle the transition?
Mm-hmm.
If UCF handles the transition, they should be fine. But a lot of the times when teams go from Group of 5 to Power 5, you lose on average 2 wins the next season. I don't know if that losing 2 wins allows UCF to be 8th best in the conference. I really don't know.
The Kansas Jayhawks.
My beloved Kansas Jayhawks, who are going to reveal a new uniform later, by the way.
Today?
I believe today, if I read the tweet correctly.
Really?
Give me one quick second. Yeah, full reveal coming tonight. They sent a glimpse of the jersey. And let me tell you, it is heat. It is beautiful.
Really?
Oh, it's gorgeous. So it's probably gonna be like one of their many alternates they can use. But fun fact, KU is dropping a new uniform tonight.
I'll have to watch for that.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
How does KU finish in the top 6? Because I think that's their goal.
Yeah.
I think
KU's goal should be to maybe try and get close to the top 6. No, you're correct. Really, it's top half of the league. 7th or higher. They want to be top half of the league is what they need to be. And for Kansas, it's simple. Can your defense improve? Can you stop anyone? Because I feel confident that offense will be able to, even if it's not that same level of like 40, 45 points per game, that insane clip, even if it's not that, it's still going to be a high-powered offense because you have so many of those dudes back. Your offensive line is back. Jalen Daniels, unless he stays healthy, is back. You got Devin Neal. You got all your playmakers. They have everything they need offensively. Defense, can it perform? Can you hold opponents to like 25 points per game? Which is still a lot, but like not the 35 that KU's been consistently. If KU's defense improves, they can be a top half Big 12 team. But if that defense takes that step back again or just stays where it is, I don't think they can keep up this. We're going to win every game 45-42. They started doing it last year, but you can tell after a while, you're starting to really balance a thread at that point.
I think KU has a very good chance to outperform 9th because of if everyone, we talked about this yesterday, your experience, 2 things can happen with experience. Your experience gets better and they perform better because they have experience. Or, hey, great, I started all 4 years at defensive end.
But you were bad all 4 years at defensive end.
I was just bad. It doesn't. Yeah. You can give me all the experience in the world, and
if it's bad experience, it's bad.
It's still bad.
No, you're right.
And the reason I say that is if they do improve on defense, I think they can take a jump.
I do.
We can
I don't know if they will.
We can go through, kind of the X factor on each one, but KU's X factor is the schedule. I cannot stress this enough. They play the top 4 teams in this league.
Yeah, they played 9 conference games. 4 of the 9 are against the top 4 teams in the league.
I mean, right now I'm going to tell you this.
Ridiculous.
I'm going to take Tech, Oklahoma, K-State, and Texas to beat KU. I'm going to tell you this right now. I will.
And I think until they prove that, Texas, they've proven they can beat them, but that's its own little bubble. That's its own little bubble. I'm with you of picking Texas to beat KU. That's its own little bubble. The other 3, the words apply until they prove they can do it. Like the other 3 are until you can prove me you can do it. Because, they've beaten Tech in the Miles era, but that was a really horrible Tech team without the same staff. These versions of Oklahoma and K-State, them beating them. I mean, Oklahoma and K-State in forever.
When was the last time they beat Oklahoma?
I couldn't tell you. And I'll be brutally honest, I don't know if they have.
When was the last time KU beat K-State? Was that was that when Prince was there?
I think it was when Prince was there. It's well over. I think K-State's won the last 12 or 13. It's been a while. Like, for those two in particular, until they beat K-State or Oklahoma, I can't pick them to beat K-State or Oklahoma. Because they haven't beaten them.
No, the winning streak right now is 14 games.
14, yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, no, it is. It's the Prince.
Yeah.
Is when it was the day that did they beat, was it Snyder came back after Prince? Did they beat them that next year? I believe so. I think it was.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I know in Bill Snyder's second run, KU never beat Bill Snyder. I know in the second run of Snyder.
Yeah,
no.
It was. The last, because K-State won 2009, 17-10. And the year they won 3 in a row, and those were the 3 years with Prince. And then Prince got fired after getting beat 52-21 on the field after the game. I remember that. Yeah. Wow. Incredible. No. Coming up next, it is National Chocolate Day, our favorite forms of chocolate. It is National Chocolate Day. It is also National Dive Bar Day. I could have come up with 4 dive bars that I absolutely love going to. But we're going to go with National Chocolate Day. Ranking forms of chocolate. Number 4, go.
Number 4 for me, chocolate ice cream. It's good, but not top tier.
Mine, and the only reason I have it at number 4 is because you don't have it very often. It's chocolate cake.
Oh, okay. It's a good poll.
You don't have
That's fair.
it often.
That's a fair point. The frequency of having it didn't factor into my rankings.
It did
but I get the thought.
It did to me.
Number 3, the chocolate bar. Chocolate bars are fine, but again, not high tier.
I went with chocolate ice cream.
Okay.
Ice cream.
Fun spot.
Number 3 for me.
Number 2 for me is the chocolate cake. I don't care how infrequently I have it. Chocolate cake is my second favorite form of cake. Love chocolate cake. Chocolate cake is so good.
Wait, second favorite?
It's my second favorite type of cake, like flavor of cake.
Behind?
I am a real basic, and I just love a good vanilla cake.
Vanilla cake.
I love a good vanilla cake, man.
Okay.
It's basic, but it's so good.
Did I tell you that some forms of red velvet is just added food coloring?
You've not told me that, but that doesn't surprise me.
Some of it you can truly make red velvet.
Yeah.
But a lot of it they say is just red food coloring.
Interesting.
Which is,
again, doesn't surprise me.
A lie. Because you're always like, ooh, red velvet.
Yeah.
Delicacy.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me is the chocolate bar.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's because it's so readily available.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like, it's the chocolate bar.
Number 1, I am 100% slightly cheating, going to a technicality, but I do not care. Number 1 is chocolate and peanut butter combined. Best way to have chocolate is to combine with peanut butter, specifically in a Reese's. Best way to have chocolate is in that form.
That's your candy bar, though. That's like
no. Chocolate bar by itself is different than chocolate and peanut butter combined. I know. I know this is technicality world, but I'm getting to the line here.
We're getting real loosey goosey with the line.
Oh, that's coming from you?
Yes.
Wow.
Number 1 for me, and it will always be this. It's the chocolate chip cookie.
That's fair. That's a good call.
Love chocolate chip cookies, and you can put chocolate in, and you can just have dark chocolate. You could have, it doesn't matter, but the chocolate cookie's the best. Coming up, we'll get to a little college realignment. Getting into Royals baseball this evening. They take on the Guardians again. And are we looking at 5 in a row, Fulton?
Possibly. They're scheduled to face Aaron Savali tonight, who on the year has an ERA under 3, but in his career has an ERA over 4 against the Royals specifically.
Well,
also got Daniel Lynch on the bump, and it depends on what version of Daniel Lynch do you get. Do you get the one like he's been lately, where it's like 6 innings of 2-run baseball? You got a chance. Or do you get the one that can't keep the ball in the ballpark and it starts sailing over the wall and he gives up like 5 runs?
Well, he's only given up multi-homer games once this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's tossed almost a quality start in 4 of his last 5 starts. So
if you think you're getting that version of Daniel Lynch, they got a chance.
Well, that's what the normal version is this year. The one outlier version
is the Reds game.
The Reds game.
Yeah, currently that is the outlier. No, if you think you're getting normal Daniel Lynch, they got a chance. Because even if Aaron Savali does what he might do, like if Savali pitches like he's been outside of the Royals, then Daniel giving you a quality start gives you a chance to win. If Savali pitches like he's done against the Royals consistently, whereas the ERA is over 4, then even more so, the quality start gives you a chance to win. So I don't know. They have a chance. They cannot lose 5 in a row. They could break it tonight. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they will. Because that offense just has no juice to it. That offense is lifeless. Because it has no power. Because Sal is not hitting the ball over the wall.
Royals right now are the dog, obviously.
Big shock. I'm so surprised.
They are a heavier underdog today than they were yesterday.
Fair.
They're minus 190 are the Guardians. And the Royals are plus 158.
So, because remember that yesterday was close until Amir Garrett, blew up.
Yeah, Lyles was okay.
It was a 1-1 game when Jordan Lyles exited.
Look at that. Jordan Lyles pitching good now.
Yeah.
Back-to-back starts.
Jordan Lyles pitching well. Contenders. I'm telling you, if you just need a guy to eat some innings at the back end, give you some bulk, it won't cost you a lot. It's very cheap rental. Cheap year, get a year extra control afterwards. I'm telling you. There you go. I'm giving a pitch here. I'm giving a pitch.
You ready for this?
It's not going to happen. I'm giving a pitch.
In order for anybody to take Jordan Lyles, you'd have to add Nick Prado to it.
I honestly actually don't know if that'd be the case.
Yes.
No.
You'd have to tag, you'd have to give someone to take on that contract.
See, the contract isn't that, the contract financially is not that bad.
Was it 18 million?
I think it's 16. I think it's 8 and 8. Like he's making 8 and 8. So financially, you're really not asking that much.
Yeah, you just need to tag on just got to tag on an extra player. Throw in
potentially.
Throw in Nate Eaton.
Yeah.
Here.
No, I will also just say this in all seriousness. I only trade Jordan Lyles if someone just wants him, him or maybe some random super low guy you don't care about. If you have to give up anyone you care about to move Jordan Lyles, you don't do it.
Nate Eaton.
Yeah, if someone wants to take Nate Eaton with Jordan Lyles, go. Shoot fly.
I don't think Nate Eaton's going to get her done.
I don't think so either. That's why I'm just if some random club was I will give you our random 25-year-old journeyman dude, the type of dude.
We will unlock Nate Eaton.
The type of dude the Royals got back from the Jorge Soler trade, where just the Braves gave the Royals someone super random. If someone wanted to do that for Jordan Lyles, I'd say yes. He's not helping me. I can get more of my young pitcher starts. You take on the money too. I tell them you have to take on the money. Yeah, that's why I'm going to keep making my jokes about it. They're not going to do it because no one's going to want to do it. But I'm going to keep making my jokes.
Little college football news. According to the Dan Patrick Show, they say sources San Diego State is still planning on joining the Pac-12 conference. Also hoping to add SMU with Boise State. UNLV being long shot possibilities. We still don't have a Pac-12 agreement. We were told that it was going to happen at the end of June. We are now a week into July. What's happening, Pac-12?
They said by the end of the month. Guys, the end of the month is ticking.
What are we doing here? The Pac-12, their media days are coming up next week as well.
This entire situation is just hilarious.
They better have their media deal done by their media day, which is one day, by the way, the 21st. That is going to be at Resorts World, Las Vegas.
Oh, cool.
You've got 2
You
weeks.
got barely any teams to go. You can do it in one day.
Well, they got 12.
Yeah. Are any of them real teams, though? Like, are we getting a lot of numbers for who's going to talk to Oregon State?
Not wrong.
Are we getting that many numbers of people talking to Washington State?
Cal. Stanford.
Maybe Stanford.
They've been bad recently.
They have, but
who's their head coach now?
I can't remember.
Because Shaw's not there
Yeah,
anymore.
Shaw's gone. I literally couldn't tell you. Also, sorry to Oregon State and Wazoo catching
Is Shaw
strays
still
out here.
there?
No, he should be gone, right?
Like, who is their guy? Troy
Taylor.
Who is that?
I'm gonna look at the Pac-12's official release. Who is this guy?
I don't even know who that guy is.
He's from Sacramento State.
All right, then.
He was 30-8 at Sacramento State in 4 seasons and at a berth in the FCS quarterfinals for the first time in school history.
Okay.
Prior to 2022, Sacramento State had never won an FCS playoff game in program history.
Okay, there you go.
So
Yeah, that's right.
ranks.
No one really cares about that.
So Stanford might get some chatter just because people are going to want to talk to the new head coach.
Ain't nobody care about Stanford.
Like in that corner of the world, new head coach, like we all know this in conference media days specifically, new head coaches get talked to.
We'll see.
Not gonna say it's a bunch, but Stanford media are going to
I don't know what the heck San Diego State's going to be involved in. Some people say it is.
What they're doing.
I find this hilarious. So San Diego State says that they're not officially leaving the Mountain West, but the Mountain West said, no, the letter you sent us,
we're counting it as the official destination.
Well, what if they do get invited? I thought this was funny. This was from an FCS reporter, Sam Herder. He goes, it'd be hilarious if the Pac-12 gets its TV deal done by July 17th and invites SDSU. Then SDSU says, actually, you're right. The original letter was our resignation, so here's $17 million. And then the Mountain West says, actually, we don't think so anymore, but we'll accept this new one, and now you have to owe us 34. Like, the ambiguity of it all is hysterical to me. But I do want to mention this. There were reports about a week ago that no Pac-12 invite to San Diego State was coming, which San Diego State, you were kind of playing with chum in the water, and now you might get bit because it might not work out and you might not have a conference. That's going to be a problem. I do think whenever the Pac-12 does combust, San Diego State will be in the Pac-12. But the longer and longer we go, and the longer that they don't have a TV deal, the more and more I think it ain't going to happen. When I say it ain't going to happen, the TV numbers and the money is not going to be what they think it will be. Therefore, you are going to see a mass exodus. I don't see Oregon and Washington ever signing a contract that connects them for any period of time. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, they would
so
probably.
How are you going to have a TV deal
Yeah.
with the two main
Money getters.
Because remember, USC and UCLA are gone after this year.
Yeah, next year they're in the Big Ten.
So I just don't see how you are going to be able to say to ESPN, or ESPN's not it, Fox or whoever, the CW or Apple or Paramount,
whatever,
or CBS Sports.
Yeah, because Oregon and Washington are going to want to have some sort of, if they sign anything, they're going to want to have some sort of ripcord to pull. Like, even if Oregon and Washington sign something, they're going to want in that deal language that is a ripcord they can pull that lets them bounce. And negotiating that kind of language into a TV deal with a network that is going to would prefer to have Oregon and Washington around is just difficult. Like the Pac-12, like the fact that this has taken this long. Like, it's taken this long to try and get a TV deal done. The Big 12 opened their window after the Pac-12 and got it done sooner. Like, this is insane that it's taken this long to figure something out. And I don't know what their solution is, because you're right. Oregon and Washington are not going to lock themselves long-term in anything. Because even if they think short-term Pac-12 is better, they're going to know with the long-term foresight to be prepared to jump ship. Or at least I would assume they are. So I don't know. I'm fascinated by that.
I would be, I'm fully on board. Making the Big 12, expanding it, getting some new teams in. Texas and Oklahoma leave, bring in a couple other new teams, have some pods. I'm fully for that. Let's go. I want to go back to Colorado. Does Deion's health have a factor in?
I don't know, because he's about to have probably 1 foot. And I'm saying that as politely as I can. Like, I'm not trying to say that jokingly or meanly. Like, I'm trying to be polite with that.
I know he's got blood clots.
Yeah. I don't know if it really will, though. Like, Deion will find a way for it. Like, it might sideline him a little bit, but Deion's going to find a way to not affect him too much.
Yeah.
There's other, like, non-health things of reasons that Deion is annoying and a problem, but health-wise, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Or should be, hopefully. I can be annoyed by guys saying takes as much as I want. I want his health to be good.
Yeah. Coming up next, the K-State Wildcats are taking a lesson from Brett Yormark. We will explain next. Of the football media days, Brett Yormark said the Big 12 is open for business. Well, Kansas State is now open for business. K-State has partnered with ISE. It's a sports marketing agency to identify Bramlage Coliseum naming sponsor. That's right. They're trying to identify a potential naming rights partner for Bramlage Coliseum, home of the Cats. All right. This is how can we make money, okay?
Oh, yeah.
To me, in order to get the ROI,
return on investment
on a naming sponsor, you need to be the one to sponsor it when it officially opens. Because previous to that, people call it what they want. Arrowhead, right? Sponsored by GEHA. By the way, a lot of people still think it's GIA, okay?
No, it's GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium.
No, but a lot of people think it's GIA.
I know.
Like, I've got asked, they're like, Jake, what do you think of the Chiefs having their stadium sponsored by GIA? And I'm like, I don't correct them. I just let them go. I don't care.
I would. It's funny.
Same thing. Okay, what's the place in Kansas City now? People still call it the Sprint Center, even though it's not the Sprint Center anymore.
T-Mobile Center.
Yeah. So what is the sponsor for? What's Cleveland's sponsor now? Is it Progressive?
Cleveland baseball park? It's Progressive.
It's still progressive.
It's Progressive.
Okay.
The White Sox field changes literally every year.
Is it still?
It's the rate now. It's guaranteed rate field.
Okay.
It's the rate.
So that's my point.
Instead of being cellular and all the other crap it's been.
The Mile High?
I couldn't tell you. Is it Sports Authority now? Is it still Sports Authority?
I thought it was Invesco.
It might be Invesco now. I couldn't tell you.
Do you see my point?
No,
people are still going to call it Bramlage.
Yeah.
They're not going to call it, what would be a good naming sponsor for Bramlage?
How many agricultural jokes am I allowed to rip off here?
No, that's what it should be.
Cool.
It should be
first one, Highland Dairy Coliseum.
Yeah, no, you joke there, but that's what
I'm half joking, half dead serious.
Like someone should do because it isn't.
It's an ag school.
It's in the name, Kansas State Agricultural and Science. It's an ag school.
Yeah. I will just add here real quick. I never, when I make ag comments about K-State, I'm never trying to demean them. It's a great thing about K-State, truly. Like K-State being a premier agriculture institution, fantastic, awesome, legitimately love it. I'm going to still get my jokes off. So yes, Highland Dairy Coliseum is my first thought.
That's the point is that if you have it as Highland Dairy Coliseum,
no one's going to call it that. They're going to call it Bramlage,
or they're going to call it the Octagon of Doom.
Yeah,
but hey, K-State, if they're wanting now the on TV and everything, and how they have to write it, it'll
have it.
It'll be.
Oh, what is the brand of that really good sweet tea you can get at the stadium? At the media room.
I don't know.
Oh, what is it? I can't remember.
Dole?
No.
Lipton?
There's a really good sweet tea you can get that I personally only ever found at K-State football games. Now I can't remember what it is.
Can it be like the Alma? It can be like the Alma Creamery.
Yes.
Coliseum. And we could call it the curd.
Yeah. No. What you need is it sponsored by a butcher company so we can call it the Slaughterhouse. Yeah. People might not like that after a while, but I love it. I don't know what butcher we want to call it. I don't know if Fana still's got the money to sponsor the arena.
I don't know.
But if you could call it the Slaughterhouse, which Octagon of Doom is cool. Slaughterhouse is cooler.
But you don't want it to be called the Slaughterhouse. You want it to be called, Meats Are Us or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I see your point. Tractor
Supply Company Stadium.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's going to be that's the difficulty when you get in on post-opening naming rights and when you change naming rights.
Yeah.
But for some places, I mean, all they care about is that you slap all their iconography on everything. Like GHA Field wants the Chiefs to say it all a bunch, and they like that their name is slapped onto it.
Yep. Dylan would be.
That's a perfect one. No, yes, no, it should be Dylan's Coliseum. Yes, no, that is perfect. That is a perfect fit. It'd probably actually be more Kroger Coliseum than Dylan's Coliseum. I don't know if Dylan specifically get that specific name branding. Either way, that actually, no, tax line, that's a perfect fit. That is a perfect fit. And they got the money to do it.
Yeah, they got that. Yeah. Gotta get your groceries.
Get that Kroger money. I buy a lot of my groceries at Dylan's.
You know, like Varsity Donuts Coliseum. Call it the donut hole or something like that.
You had fun with it.
But I fully get this. Yeah. Make money. Do what you can.
Please do.
Do what you can. Coming up, we'll get to some Chiefs talk here on Mic'd Up. Mic'd up with Jake and Fulton on this Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got on second thought, and we're going to talk plenty of Chiefs. We'll get to the Royals as they take on the Guardians tonight and Saturday and Sunday. And then they will not lose another game for 4 days.
That'll be nice.
They will be off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The only one on the Royals that will actually have to do something on Tuesday, the 11th, will be Salvador Perez, and he'll have to I don't even think he's going to get in the game.
He will. Unless Sal says he doesn't want to play because he's hurt, he will. Because the managers with the American League and National League are usually very, very good about getting every single player a chance to appear for at least an inning.
Don't you think it's kind of dumb that the end of the game at bats are decided by the not the best players in the All-Star game?
No, because the All-Star game doesn't mean anything. So why should anyone care? That's why it was stupid when it meant something.
I can see that.
Like
that
the game
side.
means nothing. So why do I care that the 30-second All-Star is the one taking a bat in the ninth inning of a one-run game? Like, I don't care.
Pride for your American League?
No, I care about just watching entertaining. I want the game to entertain me. That's all I want. That's all I ask for out of the All-Star game for baseball. I just want the game to entertain me. It's the only All-Star game I watch.
Home Run Derby Monday night?
Monday night. I'll be glued to that. It's my favorite event of the year. It is my favorite. I think it might be my favorite sporting event of the year. I love the Derby.
It's more of a endurance test than
anything. When it's the moment they changed to the new rules, it has made the Derby so much better. I don't know if any athletic event, singular athletic event, has been improved by rule changes more than the Home Run Derby. When they changed it from
baseball.
Fair enough.
Pitch clock.
Fair enough. Because when they changed it from you have 10 swings to just you got 2 minutes, crank off as many swings as you can. It's been amazing.
I don't know.
It's been awesome.
We'll get to that coming up on Monday. We will. We'll talk about that on Monday. Because I got some thoughts on that.
I love the Derby. I love it so much. I will be glued to my TV for those hours.
But we do got some Royals baseball that we will talk.
Unfortunately.
So every now and then on the old social media, you run down info or stats or thoughts, hypotheses, statements, declarations, quotes. And I found one of those today.
Okay.
All right. Warren Sharp has been putting out these tremendous nuggets left and right this offseason. Sharp football, really smart guy when it comes to football. Big analytics guy, breaks it all down. He's the guy that we get all of the scheduling pluses and minuses because he breaks that all down on who has short trips, turnarounds, flight times, all of that. But today he put out a gem. Said here, percentage of runs that gained 1 or fewer yards. So percentage of guys who got stuffed at the line of scrimmage and gained 1 or fewer yards. James Robinson, 40%. That means 40% of the time, he's getting you 1 or less yard.
Urban Meyer broke that man.
Wow.
Urban Meyer broke that man, and I will ride that to the grave.
Michael Carter. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't even know who Michael Carter is.
Plays for the Jets, second-year player at North Carolina.
That's the reason why I don't know about him. 36%.
Had a kind of nice rookie year, and then Breece Hall showed up.
Kareem Hunt. 33.9%.
Man.
Kareem.
That sucks.
Not going anywhere. This kind of surprised me. Dameon Pierce, 32%. Kenyon Drake, 32%.
That tracks.
Kenneth Walker, 31%.
A little surprising, but probably has so many runs that the percentage gets a little higher.
This one doesn't surprise me. Ezekiel Elliott, 31%. Is he even signed anywhere yet? I don't think he has. I don't think so. Jonathan Taylor, 31%. And then there are a whole bunch of them down there. Nick Chubb, 28%. Derrick Henry, 28%. Austin Eckler, 23%. And so as I'm looking down this list, I'm like, all right, where's Isaiah Pacheco? I need to know where the Chiefs running back is. Where's Pacheco? What's the percentage that he gains 1 or fewer yards? 1, 0, or it's a TFL. So I'm looking down this list and I'm like, Ramondre Stevenson at 26, Josh Jacobs at 24, Latavius Murray at 26. And I'm thinking, okay, he didn't have enough attempts.
Mm-hmm.
But then I finally found him. Minimum 100 attempts. The best running back in the NFL to not take 1 yard or less is Isaiah freaking Pacheco at 16%. 4 percentage points lower than Aaron Jones. Miles Sanders for the Eagles at 20%. So Aaron Jones is closer to almost Josh Jacobs than he is to Isaiah Pacheco almost. Pacheco gained 1 or fewer yards 16% of the time last year in the NFL. That is best in the NFL. To which I said to myself, he runs hard. That's really good.
He runs like the grass insulted his mama.
Which is great. That means, one, that tells you and we'll get to some more from all of this.
Yeah.
So then I immediately went to, wow, that's awesome, to how the hell can they not get a yard on third down? What? 16% of the time, it's one or fewer yards. Run him the ball then. Why are we handing it off to Burton? Why are we trying to do, I am pro quarterback sneak, but we know they ain't going to do quarterback sneak because of one crazy outlier, anomaly, freakish, lightning strikes play. But it's what you get with Andy Reid. Why don't we just hand it off to Pacheco? What is the reason? You've got the best short yardage running back, it says there. Why aren't we just handing it off to him and get the yard and 1st and 10, move the chains? How many times, Fulton, did we last year lose our minds because the Chiefs couldn't convert 3rd and short?
We did it a lot, and I got angry at so many points. Like, I got mad if I was doing, like, data collection at one point.
I know!
Because I was just losing my mind. And when I lose my mind at sports, I go on data collection to prove if my craziness is valid. It's curious because the thing I go, and this is where these stats are nice, but stats also always don't tell a story.
True.
We don't know how many percentage of these runs, like, and Warren Sharp does, go a little bit deeper, how many teams are, how many of their runs are versus a lot heavier boxes, how many versus lighter boxes. What benefits the Chiefs? They have the second lowest percentage of runs versus heavy boxes with 7-word defenders in the box, loading it up to try and stop the run. The Chiefs face that the second fewest amount of times because teams are playing the Chiefs to pass.
Correct.
Because the Chiefs are always passing. Because why wouldn't they? They have the best quarterback in the NFL. Where I felt the Chiefs struggled short yardage was always a level of play calling and play design more than anything else. Because they rarely just did line up under center,
hand the damn ball off,
halfback dive. Go old school Madden here. They weren't spamming halfback dive. They never did that. Like, it was always something weird.
Whoopsie dude, hoopty woo,
Yeah, like, and I think that tells me more than anything for the Chiefs, because I think one of the reasons Pacheco can gain so many yards is he's running against lighter boxes all the time because teams are just daring the Chiefs to run. That's what they want. They want the Chiefs to run. They think if the ball is not in the hands of Patrick Mahomes, sweet, awesome, which for the most part, they are correct.
Sweet, awesome.
Like, to be fair to those teams, if I lose because Isaiah Pacheco runs for 180 yards, but Mahomes was human, I will live with that. I will just pack up my case and go home for the day because I at least didn't let, Superman put on the cape. So I get why teams do it.
But it's not just Pacheco. Percentage of running back runs that gain 1 or fewer yards. Jets were first at 34%. Jacksonville second. The Chiefs were 22%. The team that was better than them were the Packers. And then the team right ahead of them was Philly. Now, I don't remember. I'd have to ask Brendan this. But look at the running backs who had 2 yards or a yard or fewer, right? Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders. Well, one, you've got Sanders and Pacheco are on the Super Bowl teams.
Yep.
And Aaron Jones is on the Packers. Now, they are the same three teams. Green Bay, Kansas City, Philly on 1 yard or less, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know Philly has a terrific offensive line.
Yep.
I know the Chiefs have a very good offensive line.
Yep.
Now, the Packers normally do.
Yeah, I don't know how great the line was last year specifically. I think it was still good. We can check with Brendan because he would have the best knowledge of us in shorthand here. But I think it was still pretty good last year.
Because a lot of that is
line's gonna make holes.
The line is a big, big deal. And looking at, all right, did the Jets have a good old line last year? Not great. Jacksonville, no. Minnesota, no. Dallas started to leak a little bit. So, like, Cleveland surprises me.
Yeah, Cleveland's really, but where I think that goes, and a little bit here, and I would have to, luckily Sharp has this. Cleveland faced their percentage of runs versus heavy boxes was 74% of the time. So like you combine
that's a lot more than the Chiefs at 59.
Yeah, you combine a pretty good offensive line, but it has weakened a bit as the years have gone on with facing heavy boxes. With even if the boxes are fully heavy, everyone's crashing down because they were not threatened by the passing attack. Makes it harder to run, even as good as Nick Chubb is.
Yeah,
it's hard to do it.
So there was also another post from our good friend Warren Sharp of Sharp Football. And I read this and I expected the Chiefs to be at the top. And it said early down pass rate in the first half at 68%, almost 70% of the time. It is the Kansas City Chiefs. They are number 1. Number 2, Cincinnati. Number 3, Buffalo. Number 4, the Chargers. Ready for this? Number 5, Philly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Passed early.
What do they all have in common? A lot of things. 1, they all have good quarterbacks.
Yep, that's 5 real good quarterbacks in that top 5.
You want to argue those are the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL? I can get with that.
Yeah.
Philly, Chargers, Buffalo, Cincy, Kansas City. They all have the excellent quarterbacks, right? Yep. When you think of Philly, you don't think of them throwing it.
Think of them running the football.
You do. But what does Philly do so well? They got a good defense. They get up early.
Yeah,
and
that's when the run really starts to come in.
And then they just, it's like a python or a boa constrictor.
And that's why I like that this is their pass rates in the first half, especially.
Yes.
Philly, when that running game kicks in, they use the pass to take the lead. And then the second half, they just squeeze the life out of you because they run the football like crazy.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it worked. It worked really well last year.
Yeah. No surprise. Here are your bottom 4. They were terrible. The bottom 5, 6, 7. Bottom 7 have no quarterbacks. Washington was the worst, which makes it interesting because you went from Bieniemy going from the Chiefs best now to Washington, but they don't have a quarterback. Chicago, well, Justin Fields is just a running back who tries to throw. Carolina didn't have a quarterback. New Orleans didn't. Drew Brees still there? Nope. Pittsburgh didn't have a quarterback. Tennessee, they're paying him a lot of money, but they don't got a quarterback. Is Tannehill going to be their starter? Is he on the roster? Is he still getting paid?
I believe as of now.
Atlanta, still on the roster.
Yeah.
You know, this is where it's interesting. In the bottom third, you've got Dallas and San Francisco. They see so many run plays, man.
Yeah.
So many run plays. So but that tells me they're going to go with their strength, which is their running game, and maybe they don't trust the quarterback.
It's a little bit, and I think there's some of that, and also got to think about the coaches there. Like San Francisco, the way they have always played in the Shanahan system is a lot more run than pass, and it runs well. He's a good run game designer. Real quick on Washington, I wanted to get to this underneath this data here because I find it very funny. Because you mentioned that Eric Bieniemy is going to Washington.
Yeah.
Which he goes from the number 1 most pass-heavy team to the number 1 most run-heavy team. Which would, and Warren Sharp points this out, that ordinarily this might signal a shift to the pass. This is me pointing out how dysfunctional Washington is ran.
Yes.
This is a quote from Martin Mayhew, the GM of the Washington Commanders. This is from a game in 2023, after a year in 2023. Last game, we were 2-1, run to pass. For every time that we threw the ball, we ran the ball twice. That's how we want to play. A real-life human being in charge of a football team in 2023 wants to run it 2 times for every pass play.
Are you Navy? Are you... I
saw that. I had to get that out. I had to.
Are you playing in college? In college, I can see that. But in the
NFL, man, you got to pass football.
That is, I would love to see
really
what a triple option team would do in the NFL.
They would win maybe 1 game.
I think they would get destroyed.
They might get lucky and win one game. And I'm a triple option truther. I love the option.
No, the triple option sucks.
Yeah, well, that's where you and I disagree.
We disagree on that.
We disagree on that hard.
I can't stand the triple
I know.
option.
I love the triple.
The triple option is
love it.
Old, archaic, and
gorgeous.
Just gross.
Fantastic.
One, it's boring. Two, it also it's no fun to call. Oh wow. I called it Washburn played
Harding.
Harding ran the football in a singular game 94 times.
Mm-hmm.
One guy ran it 42 times.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Just awful. Run up the middle for 4 for Smith. Tackled by 4 Ichabods. Run up the middle. Here's a pitch to the outside for 4. I think in that game they had like it's like 13 fourth down plays. It was stupid. It was dumb. I hate it. Get ready for this. The triple option should be outlawed.
You're wrong, but okay.
Should be outlawed.
It's useful for some schools. Like the service academies use it because of the players they have to have. Like the service academies, for the most part, do it that way. Other schools, sure. Like if you wanted to be mad that Georgia Tech was triple option under Paul Johnson for so long, I'll hear you out. I'll disagree with you, but I'll hear you out.
They had 21 third down attempts. Gross.
To circle back to the beginning of this, yeah, I mentioned this what Washington does with Eric Bieniemy in charge because, yeah, if the people up top, don't let Bieniemy throw the ball more like he wants to, I am so intrigued how that's going to go. If Washington as an organization still believes in the old 1980s way of doing this, of, gotta establish the run.
Yep.
Gotta pound the rock. No, this is 2023. We use our brains now. We know what we're doing nowadays. We're intelligent people.
It's like Dave Gettleman, instead of having a laptop on the draft in 2020, had his big, gigantic binder. Do you remember that?
Use technology. I do. Use technology. I am begging you.
Gigantic binder.
2023, please, all of you, move to the modern age. That's all I'm asking.
I still can't remember that. Everyone else has got,
Dave Gettleman was also an idiot.
Charts and things on, the projection screen, and then just a singular binder that was like a foot thick. That's why he didn't have a job either. What's Dave Gettleman doing right now?
I don't know. Investment banking somewhere, making a bunch of money, because that's what rich people do.
So I saw that just Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah. Good for Bob.
Get him
the ball.
Hand him the ball.
For once, I will say, run the ball a little bit more. Not a bunch more. A little bit more.
Hand him the ball.
Still pass more than you run, but run a little more.
Alrighty. Little update on DeAndre Hopkins. This was yesterday on SportsCenter. Jeremy Fowler on DeAndre Hopkins.
Training camp, a veteran wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins remains teamless. Now, Hopkins visited the Titans and the Patriots last month, but is still undecided. Could he be heading to Kansas City? And just in time, because let's welcome in our senior NFL writer, Jeremy Fowler. He can answer that question. Of course, Jeremy, we're counting on you. So where do the Chiefs stand with signing DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, the Chiefs have kept in contact, I'm told, with DeAndre Hopkins camp. They have certainly some interest. Problem is money. They don't have much of it. They're really tight on the salary cap. Now, if they extend defensive tackle Chris Jones, who has a $28 million cap hit, that would free up some money where they could go after Hopkins a little more aggressively. But that deal might not happen until closer to training camp or even after. So I would consider the Chiefs on the periphery right now with the Titans and Patriots, who hosted Hopkins in for a visit a couple weeks ago, still firmly in the mix.
First of all, why hasn't he signed anywhere? Is this because
that is fascinating?
Is this because he doesn't want to do training camp? Well, the problem with that is
you got to learn a new system.
You got to learn a new system, and you need to get connection with your quarterback. The off season is mainly there for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, defensive backs, that type of thing. Can't do a whole lot, linebacker. It's passing. Why do you think the Chiefs basically mini camp is a passing camp? Because you can't really do anything with the run because that involves pads and there are no pads involved. Yeah. So there is a little bit of me that says this. The reason DeAndre Hopkins hasn't signed anywhere is because Hopkins is waiting to see if the Chiefs can fit him in.
Maybe.
You sign Chris Jones, you move some cap space around. Guess what? Then you can get DeAndre Hopkins. I know some people are not on board with DeAndre Hopkins. Brendan, very anti DeAndre Hopkins. Does not like DeAndre Hopkins. I think he can still play. I really, really do. I am, as much as I am pro pay Chris Jones, I am anti pay DeAndre Hopkins a boatload of money. Pay him if it fits the number. The Chiefs have a number, 9, 10 million this year. Cool. Let's do it. 15, 16 million north of that. No, I'm not going to do it, but in order to do anything, Chris Jones has to be extended or reworked because you can't have $28 million cap hit. They have to do that. Otherwise, you're going back to Mahomes' deal and you're kicking the can down the road a little bit. And if you can avoid that, you need to avoid that. So,
yeah, I'd agree.
I don't know where else. I mean, I'm surprised he's not signed with someone.
That part is fascinating. He's had these meetings. He's met with these teams. I'm really surprised he has not found a landing spot yet. And I think it's because he's being so selective with that landing spot. But by the start of team training camps, I have to imagine he'll be with somebody because he's got to learn a new system. He'll want to get integrated. Use training camp to get integrated. But who knows? I mean, maybe if he really wants Kansas City, he knows he has to wait. I don't know if that's specifically it, but I mean that might be one of the things that exist. And I mean, maybe the Chiefs have communicated that as well. Of like, hey, if you're willing to wait, let us get Chris's deal done. Then we can probably slot you in and we can have a chat. Don't know if that's the conversation they would have or would even consider having, but that is a way to do it. Because I mean, if you're D-Hop, you're still getting a little bit of money from Arizona for being cut. So it isn't like, isn't like the man's going poor sitting on the couch.
No, he's made a lot of money. Alrighty, Fulton.
What?
Name that salary.
How much has DeAndre Hopkins made in his career?
Yeah.
Hold on for a minute.
Hold on. Let me pull it up.
Pull it up. Pull it up.
Let me pull it up.
Pull it up while I do some thinking.
All right. Wait, let me get you the years. Okay.
Okay.
That's part of the deal here. All righty. He has played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in the NFL.
Okay.
All right. 10 years in the NFL. How much money has DeAndre Hopkins made in his career?
10 years in the NFL.
Yep.
We'll
give you the $10 million window. If you get within $10 million north or south of the number, you win. So you win a prize.
He's had two contracts in free agency. He's gotten at least one extension from Houston, then he had the contract with Arizona. Oh, let's take because he was a first round pick though after the rookie scale was implemented. So that rookie contract was probably only, even with a 5th year. Well,
he was pick number 27, by the way. So if that helps you out,
I'm going to say he has made how much those 2 free agent deals. I want to say that Cardinals deal was at least 80 million. 80? What it was supposed to be.
Wow. Okay.
It might have been less. It might have been 60.
Alrighty. The Jeopardy theme song is over. I need a number.
I'm gonna give you 100 million flat.
100 flat.
I'm gonna give you 100 flat.
100.
Don't feel great about it, but I'm gonna give you 100 flat. I think both his free agent contracts, i.e., one of them technically being an extension, were big enough to push him over the edge. But I'm not confident in that.
100 flat.
Going 100 flat.
The rule is 10 million either way.
Yep. So if he's between 90 and 110, I'm home.
You're
If
home.
he's outside of that, I'm not home.
Fulton, you missed it by $1 million. 111 million. Just missed it.
That's pain.
You don't get the prize, Fulton.
That's painful.
Do you know what the prize was?
What's the prize?
A chocolate payday.
Oh, bummer. I will say I'm impressed I got that close though, because I was really trying to figure out those numbers.
111,577,890.
Okay. He's made a lot of money.
He made a lot of money.
Was that right that he said 2 free agent contracts?
Yes, his last one was the $54 million contract.
It was 54.
Yes.
It was the first extension that was the big one with Houston. That was the $80 million contract. Yep. Yeah, I was right. About 7 or so for that first one. Yeah, give or take. He was part of the rookie scale. It was when there was the rookie scaling was implemented.
Off by 1 million, and you would have gotten that chocolate payday.
Should have overshot it a little bit, knowing I had my buffer.
What if it could have been, lower than that?
It could have. I was confident he had at least one $80 million contract, though. I was confident he had at least 180, but I didn't think through what his other ones were. Yeah, 111.
Fun game. That's well done.
Good game.
Coming up next, our version of the Mulligan on Second Thought coming up. It is our mulligan. It is our redo. Fulton, what do you got?
It's very simple. It's kind of a two-parter. One, I gave the Royals like a 2% chance to win even like one game against the Dodgers over the weekend, and they took 2. So I was wrong with that. But more importantly,
I was wrong with that as well, because I bet the Dodgers to win those 2 games, and I felt very strongly about that.
And then moreover, I thought Brady Singer was going to get shelled by the Dodgers. I had no faith that Brady would pitch well against the Dodgers because he hadn't been pitching well. I mean, the start before was kind of good, but also it was against Cleveland, so it was kind of eh. I really thought that lineup would just hammer him.
Mm-hmm.
And he went 7 innings of 1 run ball on 4 hits. It was good. I was wrong.
Does he pitch tomorrow?
Yes. Daniel today, Cleveland tomorrow. Which I'm very, very intrigued how Singer does against Cleveland, being the second start against them in basically a week. Because it means Cleveland's going to be fresh in his mind, and Cleveland's going to know how they can want to attack him a little bit differently this time. So I'm very interested to see how Cleveland adjusts and how Brady Singer adjusts to Cleveland.
Well, I was wrong about Jordan Lyles.
Yeah, you were.
He also struck out 5.
He did, which was weird.
I was wrong about that. Was right about the fact that they weren't going to win.
You were completely correct about that.
Was right about that. But, I made fun of Jordan Lyles because, well, Jordan Lyles can't put back-to-back start. Was that Jordan Lyles' best
2-game stretch?
2-game stretch?
About to find out.
I bet it was.
Give me a moment.
Ooh, let's see if I can beat you, Fulton.
Yeah, you might.
I don't know. It's gonna be close. The old the internet here. Let's see who's gonna beat you.
I got his game logs open.
I've got his game logs open.
So you went.
Can I get it to load?
4, 3, 5, 1.
Oh, he did give up 4.
It's basically tied because he's given up 1 earned run in a start 3 times this year. Did it in the first game of the year against Minnesota for his first start of the year, second game of the year against Minnesota. Did it against Colorado, and he did it against Cleveland just now.
Yeah, 1 and then 4.
The other 2 times he immediately followed it up with 5 earned runs against Toronto and then 5 earned runs against Miami.
Yeah, so this technically is the best back-to-back.
Depending on what he does, like 4 then 1 is tied with you. Win a 5 then a 1. Yep. Like it's tied with his best back-to-back starts. So the question becomes,
look at that, Jordan.
Can he do it again?
Look at Jordan Lyles.
Look at him go. Look at him pitch kind of well.
Good for him. We will get to some more Royals baseball. Has there truly been a new regime taking over? We'll get to that next. looking forward to the weekend with the Royals and the Guardians, but you shouldn't pay attention to that. You should pay attention to Sunday, because that's the MLB draft. And much like the NFL, if you are a small market team in Major League Baseball, the draft is so important. It is like being the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs are now a small market team in the NFL because all of their money goes to like one dude. Therefore, you've got to be really good with drafting players. Fulton, I don't know if you know this, but the Chiefs have drafted pretty damn well the last 2 drafts.
Yeah, they have.
Especially this last draft when like 90% of their secondary were rookies. Okay. Outside of 2 dudes, Reed and Thornhill. And Snead, I guess. Maybe like 60%. Either way, you know what I meant.
Either way.
The draft is Sunday.
Yep.
And Sam McDowell of the Kansas City Star did a little digging, and they have to hit these drafts. They had to hit last year's draft. But the reason I bring this up, and this is something that John Sherman is and should be questioned on. Did he do enough to reset the organization? The organization needed a reset. It needed a new beginning. You were 5 years in a row, nothing. I mean, nothing went right for the Kansas City Royals. And the drafting has been even worse. They are getting no production out of their rookies. We went through the Royals draft class from 2012 to 2019. And you got nothing from that draft, those draft class. The best drafted player thus far has been Sean Manaea, and
he never played for your team.
He never played for your team. So what Sean Manaea did was get you
Ben Zobrist.
Now, that is that's
beneficial.
I'm not going to say that that's not, but the fact that you whiffed on how many of these guys. You whiffed on the Ash Russells, the Chase Vallets. You've whiffed on all of them. And thus far, Jackson Carr has not worked out. You know, it took a little bit longer for some of these guys to get to the major leagues. And the reason why I go back to John Sherman is when he fired Dayton Moore, he had an opportunity to do the full on, as you like to call it, reset. Bring in a new GM, bring in a new scouting director,
full teardown,
bring in a new assistant GM, bring in new scouts, bring in new everything. This will be a new franchise. He didn't. He went with, I'm just going to get rid of the guy who overseed everything. Well, the same scouting director in Lonnie Goldberg, the same assistant to the GM and JJ Piccolo, and the same everybody is still there. If we go under the assumption, and Fulton, you have mentioned this time and time again, if it was truly, you know, like Game of Thrones, right? I am on the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
I make the decision.
Everyone can advise Dayton Moore how they so choose.
Yes.
He is going to say whatever he wants to say.
You can tell Joffrey Baratheon anything you wanted, and he was going to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Same thing, you know, with, oh gosh, I'm forgetting her name. I don't know. You didn't watch Game of Thrones.
Not really.
If he was the one who did it all, then I can see an understanding. But if he's going with all the scouting numbers and everything,
if he went with what all his scouts said and just did what they said he should do, then you've not changed. I've spent the day thinking about this ever since we started and going into it, because this has been in Royals Twitter a debate all day. Like, everyone's had an opinion on this. I'm starting to. I think part of the Royals' problem is the talent they've selected. I think a larger problem is their development. And I think that's especially with recent guys. Like, let's take the 2018 pitchers, for example. In Carr, Singer, and Lynch. I think all three of those were proper first-round picks. I don't think the decision to draft those three gentlemen was incorrect in the slightest. The problem with those three is development. The problem is the pitching development was so archaic that no matter how talented a guy was, it was never going to work. For whatever reason, apparently, like, you can't tell me that Brady Singer's just since low A refused to throw a third pitch. Why was that not the first thing that he worked on? Because that was the number one thing coming out of the draft, that a lot of scouts were, kind of iffy on Singer. Any scout that was iffy on Singer always came back to, well, he doesn't have a third pitch and you need it. Why was that not the first thing they worked on at low A? For Jackson Carr, I've harped on this all the time. How has no one taught him to throw a big league fastball? The current one he has doesn't work. The current one he throws doesn't work. Why has no one thought change his arm slot, change the spin, change the grip, make it a cutter, make it a sinker, do something different? Why has no one thought to do that? That's development. With Daniel Lynch, his extension, which I know I'm trying not to get too deep into the weeds, but some of this is a deep in the weeds thing. The finer parts of Daniel Lynch's mechanics were always his problem, and location on his pitches. Why did no one work on that? Why are we? And that's where I go, and why I kind of want to see how this thing goes is I think part of this was somewhat talent, but I think the Royals' bigger problem has just been their development, which if we go with development, that is a thing they overhauled. That is a thing they said, we are doing this differently. We already overhauled hitting, and that's gotten better. So we are going to overhaul the pitching development system and make better pitchers. Because I subscribe fully to belief there's no such thing as a pitching prospect. They don't exist because they're so fluky. I'm also team draft more hitters. Draft hitters, develop your pitchers. Just whatever pitchers you get in the building, develop them and see what you create. You can't just say, well, a pitcher is going to be I'm going to take a pitch like for this Sunday. I don't want the Royals to take a pitcher at 8 because there's not a lot of surefire guys there that I could believe in. Take a bat and develop what you have.
Is the LSU starting pitcher going to be available at 8?
No. Paul Skeens will be gone within the top 3.
Okay, then don't. Yeah, then.
Yeah, no. Like the most recent mock I saw was the Royals will take Kyle Teal, the catcher out of Virginia, which I'm cool with. A good, proven bat who should move up the system quickly. If he stays at catcher, that's fine. Salvador Perez's moved to DH, and honestly, you kind of do need a new catcher because MJ Melendez, I don't know if it's that guy. But also, maybe you put him somewhere else or let you trade, like drafting more hitters.
Hey, Freddie Fermin is their guy. I mean, he's their best hitter.
He's also almost 28 already.
He's their best hitter.
He's also almost 28 already. I know. But like, the other part of the draft more hitters approach is you can then draft more hitters to then trade some of those hitters for pitching and yada, yada, yada.
Why not draft a shortstop?
I swear to all that
is there a shortstop available?
There's a couple that could go there. I would not be a fan unless there got someone I knew could move to a different spot. Either way, the long and the short of it here is I think I'm willing to give them a minute to figure out what they're going to do. Because we have to remember this when it comes to Gavin Cross last year specifically, which is kind of the most recent barometer you can go to. What were you thinking? Because, man, he's not looking good this year. Which is what it is. Development isn't linear. Gavin Cross's was Dayton Moore's good friend's son. Like, you're telling me that had no influence on what Dayton Moore did? You know, there's no influence for Dayton Moore that he was like, I know that he's a good kid. I want to see what this looks like because I think the more I've looked into this and more I've looked at stuff and looked at what people smarter than me think about as well, the Royals' problem might be more developmental than scouting. We're going to get our first glimpse of that coming up on Sunday because if they go in with a plan of early rounds, draft some college hitters to give us some more steady offense, and then we're going to take some other pitchers in kind of the more late, early, middle part of the rounds, then that's a solid strategy. That means you're focusing on we're going to take what pitching talent exists and we're going to develop it. With our higher picks, we're getting bats. We're getting bats that we know can hit, that either will help us offensively or we can flip those bats into even more pitchers. Like, that's how good teams do it. When we look at the Astros, you know how many hitters they drafted when they've been rebuilding? A lot of hitters is what they drafted. And they just developed pitching or acquired it from other systems. Tampa Bay Rays, developing pitchers.
But that's the biggest issue for it's to me. It's hard to compare the Royals with the Astros are doing, because the Astros can just go out and buy pitching.
That's true, and that is the difference.
That's another thing.
That's true.
You just draft a whole bunch of pitchers, and then you buy or draft a whole bunch of
and buy your pitchers.
Yeah. They can do that.
I'm intrigued. It's definitely something that I think the draft is gonna be interesting Sunday to see how different is it now under a different person.
What's Kumar Rocker doing right now?
He's somewhere in the minor leagues. He's
Okay.
with Texas's minor leagues, I believe.
Okay.
I think he's in low A or high A.
Is he killing it?
I have not looked in on him.
Okay. Coming up next, we're gonna finish this week off with the mic drop. What is your mic drop?
Very simple. I'm super excited for the MLB draft on Sunday. It's a very fun time, and especially because I want to see what the Royals do. But if Kyle Teal was a King State Royal by the end of Sunday, I'd be a fan.
And do you have a chance to get him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's been mocked several times right there at 8.
Is it just one round on Sunday?
I believe it's just the first round on Sunday. There might be the compensatory part of the first as well. But it's a couple days to get all 20 rounds in.
Do the Royals have any?
I don't think they have any compensatory selections this year.
Okay.
If they do, they'd have like one.
Okay.
But I don't believe they have a compensatory pick this year.
Well, I expect a recap Monday.
Oh, I got you.
I know you do. I'm going to go with this. The Royals still stink. It is what it is.
True.
There we go. Can't wait to talk football next week. Coming up next, we got 580 Sports Talk. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend.